Hello, everybody. I'm pumped. I have a good friend and expert on the show today. I have Alex Terranova, who is the founder of DreamMason Coaching. And he's also the author of an incredible book. If you've taken a look at my backdrop, it is right over here, Fictional Authenticity. He is also an amazing professional and personal performance coach and a host of 3 podcasts. Well, co-host for one, but I think it still counts. The DreamMason podcast, Flip the Lens, and the coaching show. I'm kind of curious on how you have 3 and why 3 came to be. Maybe we should start one. But Alex, welcome to the show. Hello, Mr. DreamMason.
What's up? That was a nice introduction.
Was it? I practiced it in the mirror like 27 times. So hopefully it worked out pretty well for us.
Dude, you got all my man.
I got all your stuff. I got all your stuff there.
And today I'm pretending to be a therapist. I'm visiting. My parents just got vaccinated, so I'm visiting them at their house. I haven't seen them in a year, and my mom is a therapist, and I'm actually working out of her office today. So I feel a little extra professional as a therapist today.
Hence, I should also put a disclaimer: not a therapist.
Yeah, don't your therapy things. Great if you need one.
So first off, we're other than just I want you to talk about rejecting the conventional, we also we have put together an amazing 4-day digital escape to paradise at the end of the month. So there'll be more about that at the end of our live today. So make sure that you stay tuned.
And this is all about rejecting the unconventional, right? I hate summits. We're not doing a summit, Ben. And you were like, okay, well, what are we going to do?
Yeah, let's go back. Let's talk about this how this was unconventional. How did it even, when did this get started?
Well, so let's even go. So I think even the way we meet people is unconventional, and the way we do business now. I was part of a team leading a coach training program in Chicago a couple of years ago. And I would fly to Chicago from California every month. And I wanted to start doing live events in Chicago, but I didn't know people in Chicago. So I wrote on Facebook one day, who knows, like mindfulness, Reiki, meditation people. All of a sudden I get introduced to Corinne Summers, both of our good friend. And her and I get on the phone, we hit it off. We start trying to brainstorm a bunch of ideas. And honestly, like the first 10 things we came up with, we all started and all just failed to launch, right? It was actually great, but we got to know each other. We really liked each other. We did do some podcasts and things together. She connected me with you. That's how we met, right? And then you and I podcasted together. We all got along super well. And then when the pandemic started last year, I don't remember why the 3 of us even came together and talked about this, but all of us were like, man, our lives were going pretty well despite the pandemic. And yet the world around us was pretty shitty. And we were like, how can we create something to give back? How can we do something positive for other people for free? And hopefully it has an impact. And we created, again, rejecting the conventional, how not to lose your shit, and other mindfulness tools.
Yeah, but that started as, I think I remember being on the phone. It's like, let's just do a workshop. We'll do this one workshop. We'll promote it in our network. And then it was like, well, what if this workshop was a 30-day challenge? And then not just that, but what if it became an ebook and a product? And then it was like, and then afterward, it was like, hey, how about we do this again, but bigger, and do this huge summit? And it was just, but I don't think that would have ever happened or occurred if we as individuals lived in our little box of comfort.
Yeah. And I think, look, one of the cool things is we're all very different. I want to say you're very organized. You're very organized. You kind of I want to say you keep us on track in terms of measurements. You make sure we in a way do what we say we're going to do. And we need that as a partnership. That's not yes, I do what I say I'm going to do, but I am let's fuck shit up and make shit messy, try to do things different. And
yeah. And tell us about that. Go back and actually, because I know your intro is you can introduce yourself, but usually you say I'm a recovering a-hole. Is that?
Yeah, I'm a recovering asshole, and sometimes that part of me still shows up. It just, now it's not as empowered. It's the shadow side that, I have let's just say I have a leash on it. So instead of being run by the asshole's like in the back seat. He's not driving the car anymore. But yeah, I was a vain, egotistical, righteous asshole, for lack of a better word. I wasn't like murdering people or doing anything terrible, but I was kind of shitty and conceited and arrogant and not coming from love. And I transformed my life over the last 6 years to really come from break up my like bad masculinity patterns and create some commitment things in my life and some discipline and some integrity. I didn't have a lot of integrity. And I like to really now help men do the same, men that are really driven by money and results and yet might not be fulfilled or happy or have great relationships. But when we come back to the unconventional, this is where I think it gets cool. So my whole life, I wanted to rebel against everything. So my mom tells a great story. When I was a little kid, she'd be like, "Hey, Alex, do you want a cookie?" And I would slap her hand away, grab the cookie and say, "No." I had to push against and rebel against everything. And look, I don't know why, right? As a little kid, I was doing this and whatnot. And as I grew up, I wanted to rebel against everything. And when I started working with a coach, I could see that my rebellious and my push against was actually preventing me from having a lot of things I wanted in my life. And so I had to like do a lot of work on myself to put that like behavior down. Like, why do you have to say no to everything first? Why do you have to fight against everything and rebel against everything? And once I had those breakthroughs that freed me to start saying yes to things and be open-hearted and loving and kind and gentle and supportive and not criticizing everything and judging everything, then all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, I have to find like my authentic self. And my authentic self is like, it's a kind of like lame thing, but it's like, I'm sitting here in a hoodie and
Spinning around in a chair.
I'm spinning around in a chair and I work on unconventional places, on the beach, on beaches, in all different places. And I run my life the way I want. But now I've empowered the thing that used to be disempowering. So now I don't rebel from a sense of I have to push against. Now I rebel from a sense of innovation. Like, hey, everyone does it this way. I could do it that way. I'm not going to push against it on purpose. But what other ways are there to do it? How can I recreate it and invent it in a different way that there's people out there that might want it the way that I created or invented it, because the way that it is doesn't work for them. And we see this everywhere. It's why we have so many different forms of technology. It's why we have so many different religions. It's why there's so many different types of yoga and fitness, right? Somebody went, hey, this doesn't work for me, but I'm not against it. I just need to find a new and different way that's authentic to me.
Yeah, so when we say reject the conventional, a lot of times someone might say, okay, I'm going to go embrace my shadow side. I'm going to go be a rebel. And it's like, no, hold on a second. Like, what is your conventional right now? And is your conventional being a rebel and being someone that is an a-hole? Or is your conventional being being too nice? And all of a sudden it's like, okay, you want to reject that for a moment because you need to go explore and go find your authentic self, to then be able to actually be true to who you are and then live life that way. Because that, what does that do to the world if you are your authentic self?
I mean, if you're, in my opinion, right? Like, I think unfortunately, most of us, most of the time, think we're being authentic. And this is hard for a lot. It was just hard for me to hear. I thought I was being authentic for so long, but we're products of our environment. If most people look at why they believe the religion they believe, or they eat the way they eat, or they do the jobs that they have, most people, most of the time, it's because they were following some structure or system. Their parents had an influence, their friends and family, the church, the community, the sports they watch, the media, the TV. They want the body they have because that's what they saw in magazines. They wear the clothes they wear because their favorite actors, musicians, people wore them. But how many of us sat around and went, wait, why am I doing this? Why am I dressing the way I dress, or behaving the way I behave, or doing the thing that I do? Did I actively choose this? Or did I just kind of make some subtle choices along the way that were highly influenced? Why do I even like the things that I like?
Yeah. And I did say we were going to talk about emotions first, but then I kind of changed it on you. But this is a good segue, because emotions are also something that we forget to question if we chose them or not. And I think people tend to, what? I bet some people listening, what are you talking about? Choose my emotion? And I know that you speak heavily on this. So can you expand on that thought?
Yeah, I don't do anger at all because when I was a kid, my dad used to get really angry and it was really scary. And I didn't understand that. So I decided at some point that, like, oh, he couldn't control himself and that was a weakness. So anger became a weakness, a trait of a weak person to me. And if you can't control yourself and you get angry, well, if you can't control yourself, how can you control anything else? Right. So as a kid, it was like a control mechanism. And as an adult, I have no relationship with anger. So things that make me angry, I just become like resigned about and just dismiss. And sadness was something I saw and I didn't like. Like I saw my mom being sad or other people being sad. And I was like, that kind of was like pathetic. So I rejected that. And as I became an adult, well, I don't have sadness. I don't have anger. And then I noticed, man, I don't even have that much joy. Like I'm not even that happy of a person.
They could not create the movie Inside Out if you were the character. I'm just saying they.
Totally. So, and then, and when you say Inside Out, John Shinner, who's going to be at Core 9 Camp, was one of the advisors for Inside Out.
Yeah, so cool.
As an adult, I had a mentor say, not just to me, but to a room full of people, your emotions and the experience of your life is like a pipe. And if you're blocked, if that pipe is blocked up with certain things like anger and sadness are blocking up the pipe, well, that joy can't get through. And I had total wake up moment where I went, oh my God, to the degree in which I limit my anger and my sadness, I limit my joy. And so I had to actively start practicing being happy, being sad, expressing anger. It sounds silly, but like, and now I have more so, I have a lot of the sad, I can do the sadness, I can do the joy. The anger is still like a process. I'm still working that out. But the fullness and richness of my life is like 100-fold of where it used to be because I can feel things.
Yeah. And you know that you feel those things at that time, and you accept that you feel those things at that time, and you share that you feel those things at that time. Like I know we're on calls sometimes planning, and it's like, hey guys, like I'm feeling kind of XYZ. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's powerful. And I know even in my own development, when I was trying to learn how to feel things, like you said, I would call out that feeling, or I'd actually stop and say, okay, if I felt this right now, what would it feel like? Mm-hmm. And I would try to just make the connections again in my brain, and it works. Like it, and it's an exercise I do with clients. I know that you do something similar in terms of like noticing emotions around you or noticing how you feel. Right now, I'm getting dizzy. I'm feeling slightly dizzy. You're a little kid in a candy store.
Well, I think like we, unfortunately, as humans, have been taught to run our lives from fear, feelings, and like our, let's say, call it our subconscious mind. Like our subconscious is making decisions for us all the time. And when we're like, oh, I don't feel like going to the gym, or I feel like I deserve pizza or something, or like I'm afraid, so I'm not going to make that sales call. Yeah. And most of us, most of the time, are like in these like autopilot lifestyles, and they're not helping us. And I think that when you work with someone like me or you or a lot of the leaders that are actually going to be at Core 9 Camp, and Barry, it doesn't have to be like a coach. It could be yoga can open this up for you. Therapy can, lots of different things. All of a sudden we break out of our automatic patterns and habits, and new things become possible. So when I started to embrace sadness or fear, when I started to say yes to new experiences and try new things, all of a sudden, all sorts of other new things that are unexpected show up.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're embracing the emotion, but you're choosing the emotion though, despite whatever you're embracing. I think, because like, for example, we had to find a bunch of speakers, like big name speakers for this event. And I mean, I do this too for my podcast. I know you do this for other things as well. And it's like, I reach out to anyone and everyone in any way possible, in any shape or form. There's no fear. There's no discomfort. It's just like, there's a goal and then there's an action towards it, because the emotions don't clog the pipes anymore. Like they're all there. Cool. Nice to see you. I'm happy. But then once you do something more and more too, it just normalizes it. Like so I guess the last question before I pop over to the event, if you reject the conventional consistently to find your authentic self, and you are then your authentic self, and you've embraced all of your emotions, and you're happy with where you're going in a way, that sounds a little bit too comfortable to me. How do you keep growing in that space?
It's great. I think you do get like in February, my biggest complaint with my life and my business and everything was I was bored. And if you saw my whiteboard of all the things that I'm up to and all the projects and goals and all the things that I have, you'd be like, how can this guy be bored? But it was kind of just like the next thing, the next book, the next client, the next amount of money. Like I'd done all the things. Now I'm just trying to like do it again or bigger. And I realized like, oh, and I was looking at this, like you're complacent, you're comfortable. And so I do it with like I have my own coach. I don't think like it's responsible to be a coach if you don't have somebody, if you're not doing what you ask your clients to do. I think for me, that's a red flag. But so I have my own coach and I'm like bringing this to him and we're talking about it. And he's like, well, hey, it's not life's job to show up and inspire you. It's your job to get yourself up and create something.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, wait a minute, I have to generate some excitement and some inspiration in my life from within. So I need to generate a space where I can do that. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I have bigger goals here. And then I like rewrite my whiteboard. It's not that everything's different. It's that instead of just the next client, I want a certain person, not necessarily their name, but like I'm looking for a man like this, or I'm looking for a company like this, or those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's how you raise the bar, you up the ante, but like you have to actually want to be, I guess I could say you have to fall in love with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, and strive for it, crave it, and then when you are bored, like I have a list of things that will challenge me that I turn to when I'm bored. So it's either the list gets pulled up or the things that I don't want to do, I do. Like the things that are boring, it's like, okay, I'm bored. I might as well do the things that are boring. Or it's like I'm bored. Okay, let's go challenge myself and do something that like will be challenging. So, Alex, this has been amazing. I want to switch over and talk about Core 9 Camp for a second. I am going to let's pull it up. Let's share this. There it is. Okay, I'm going to switch over to this website. We're going to go through it. Talk to the website, Alex, for me. Describe what you're seeing.
Well, wait, first of all, we were like, we're not doing a summit. This is not a summit.
Not a summit.
This is like camp meets a conference. It's camp, but it's like camp meets a conference, meets a retreat.
Music festival. Meets a festival.
And you can see on the schedule right here, we have like, we're creating over 30 thought leaders in all different fields, from chefs to mindfulness experts to health to fitness experts to breath work to mindset money, like experts on mindset and money, to people on how to network. And we're bringing all these together under the guise of the 9 aspects of well-being. So as you're scrolling through, you're seeing, first of all, like these people are beautiful humans, not only like not only like inside and what they do, but they're actually just kind of great looking people for whatever reason. We got lucky. And these people are all experts on so many incredible different things, and they come from all different walks of life from all over the country, and they're all experts on these 9 different areas, and we're bringing them together, and they're going to speak and talk and even have like classes. We have an improv class. And the crazy thing I think here is this is where you and Corinne and me are maybe we're just not as smart as we think we are, but you can actually get all of this for free, which is
free.
Insane. Yeah. So like 25 to 30 events for free over the course. It's a 4-day event, but people can get it for the whole week essentially for free. I don't even know what else there is to.
It's kind of nuts. That's awesome.
Yeah, we created a well-being festival, a well-being experience festival, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Online, because look, if you live in Florida or some other places, you can go out and like go to nightclubs, but a lot of this country and the world, you still can't do those things.
Yeah.
And so we're bringing it right to your home. So if you want to do these events naked with your puppies on the floor, or you want to be in your jacuzzi or your bathtub, or you want to be eating dinner and doing yoga at the same time, you can do it however you want. No one's going to be able to see you.
And if potentially someone's seeing this after the event, I assume we've created some in-person, twice the size, intense camp where people actually get branded T-shirts, and there's games and like that thing where you move the parachute. You know what I'm talking about? When you throw the parachute up at camp.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, if we ever do it in person, we're doing that. That's literally I don't know why. I just feel like we have to.
and paintball and
Yeah, all the fun stuff.
I want a hot air balloon. We should have a hot air balloon at camp when we do a Core 9 camp live. We're getting a hot air balloon. I'm making that declaration right now.
We can make that happen. Alex, this has been incredible. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your story, your spinning on the chair, and your presence as always. It was wonderful.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for what you do, man. You're like constantly out there in the world, sharing with people, leading things. You know, you always set a good example of just putting yourself out there and like leading events, and whether it be, you know, calls like this or live events, but you're always like leading something. So thanks for doing that.
Thank you. It helps this time around to have some extra hands at the plate.